Welcome to the Empowered Team Podcast. I'm your host, Kari Schneider, and today we are on the second of a 3-episode series, and it's your action game series. Last week, we talked about why smart people don't start, so if you haven't heard that one, go listen in. This weekend is all about the top 3 reasons why you finish other people's priorities first. Yeah, I know you do it because I do it. We all do it. But why do we do it? So then we can identify and help ourselves stop. So here's a little research for you. Studies show that high performers spend up to 60% of their working hours on tasks that don't align with their top priorities. Go figure. They don't even align with what we really want, not because we're disorganized, but because we're really too good at saying yes. So here's a question for you. What if the reason that you're exhausted isn't how much you're doing, but rather whose goals you're actually working toward? I know that I have bumped up against this really, really hard. So today's one, this might sting a little bit, this action game series episode that we're doing today, it might sting. Because we don't want to hear that we're up to a whole bunch of things that aren't serving our own purposes, but rather serving someone else. Not lazy people, not disorganized, like I said, but we're talking about the most capable, the most driven, the most high-performing human beings, high-achieving, the ones that are in the room doing all the things, and why they're really the most chronically self-abandon. Let's get into it. Let's go. So here's the first concept. This one is called the helper trap. This is the kind of thing that you're really good at something, you're competent, you're capable, and it traps you because people love asking you to do the thing. It's called, this is the term for it in psychology, is the competence trap. And it's the better that you are at something, the more it gets loaded onto you. And this is a natural phenomenon because you're the default person to go to. You've been the problem solver. You've responded quickly. You've done the things well. So naturally, people want to give more to you. And naturally, you start to feel kind of good because you were really good at doing the thing. Your reliability becomes your own tax. It is... There's two sides of the same coin. You're really good at doing something, and yet it starts to drain you. It starts to exhaust you. So what do you do about this? So there's a researcher at the University of Toronto, Tiziana Casario. Don't know if I'm saying that correctly. And this person studied how competence and likability interact in workplace dynamics. So the finding is that highly competent people attract the most requests, but get this, the most interruptions and the most delegated urgency. So it's not that you're just attracting greater responsibility and notoriety and being good at what you do, but rather requests, interruptions, and urgency from other people's urgency, not yours, other people's urgency. It's not that people are malicious and trying to hurt you. It's simply that capable people have a gravitational pull. I'm sure if you've heard this podcast before, I reference a client who said this one line, and I will never forget it. It's that capable people are punished. And I worked with her on that thought because it wasn't serving her to think that at the time, because it ends up being a negative thought that is very draining. But now when you look at the research, you can see why she would feel this way. It starts to feel like a tax. It starts to feel like a drain. It starts to feel like a punishment, unless we're on top of it. So if you're good at something, know that people are going to keep coming to you for that thing, but it can be the very thing that starts to drain you. So here's what the uncomfortable truth ends up being. Is that being needed feels like value. And I've fallen into this trap so hard. Coming from a childhood of trauma, a childhood of feeling like I had low worth when I felt needed by other people. Whew, that's like an addictive drug. It feels really, really good. It feels like value. And for high achievers, when you feel valuable, it's deeply, deeply tied to identity. So every time someone pulls on you, wants you to respond, it confirms to you, to the deepest parts of you that are craving to feel worthy, it confirms to you that you matter. And this is really important. So the reframe ends up being that being available to everyone is not a superpower, it's a slow leak. It's something that will take you down. It'll just take time. And I lived that. The very thing, I remember at a point where my physical coaching facility, the training facility, the studio, it was at its peak of success. We had teams in there, we had private clients, we had multiple coaches, we had a clinical space, so many great things. And when it was humming along, it was so good. But I got to a stage where I couldn't understand why something I loved so much, which was coaching, serving, running this business, why I felt so drained and so exhausted and so burnt out. And it's this competence trap. I loved being the best at what I did. And in the place that I was in, I was the best at what I did. In the city I was in, I didn't know anybody who could do better service and more competence and more expertise in the realm that I had. Didn't know anyone else that way. And it felt so good. But it was a trap because it was a slow leak. It's the very thing that had us successful and had me feel so good and feel valuable and contribute to others. That very same thing was the thing that was causing burnout. And I couldn't see it. I didn't understand. And it was that there wasn't enough balance there, enough protection of myself. So here's the practical marker. You're going to look at the last 5 things that you've completed this past week. How many of them were initiated by someone else's request? Or did you initiate them? Did you want them to happen? Or were they initiated by someone else? Are you completing someone else's urgency? Or are you completing something that's going to move the needle for where you want to go or what really matters to you that you are truly aligned with? I gave you the story about my business and eventually being burnt out in that version of my business at the time. But this holds true for your personal life. This holds true for where you're leading in various places in your world. It can hold true for things like making dinner. I remember, or cleaning the house. I remember when we had all the kids at home. And when I had my stepsons in, they were coming every other weekend, but it was 5 days. It would be a Wednesday through a Sunday. So we had them basically a third of the time. So we have 5 kids a third of the time and 2 kids all of the time. So you can imagine going from a household of 4 people to 7 people to 4 people to 7 people and all those kids being in sport. There was so much to do. And I was doing laundry and cleaning and doing some cooking. And eventually with the baby, when Maeve came along, I was like, Paul, I can't do the laundry. I'm so spread too thin. And he took on the laundry. But then there was a stage where when it came to the cleaning, I was realizing that, I liked it how I liked it to be clean and as clean as I could make it. I was the most competent at cleaning those toilets or cleaning those floors. And it got to the point where I just couldn't do it. And I had to get over the fact that I was the best at that particular cleaning and delegate it to kids who were not so good at that cleaning. But realizing that it was not only me being trapped and held by that and hanging on to it, but it was also teaching them something that they could do. And that felt so draining at first, to have something that's not really that clean and have something that the kids did and try to teach them through it. But it was so valuable to them and so valuable to me to let go of my version of clean and to delegate for them to learn and figure out how to clean a floor or clean the dishes or clean a bathroom. And I remember the feeling, though, of wanting it to be done as well as I would do it because I was the best at that. And there was a phrase that helped me so many times, and it was this: just because I'm good at something doesn't mean I should be doing it. And that helped me, and I hope it helps you in this competence trap, this psychological term called the competence trap. Just because you're good at doing something doesn't mean you should be doing it, period. So let go of it, because this is one of the main reasons why we're finishing other people's priorities first. All right, let's go into the second one. Are you excited about this? You're like, damn, I feel like I'm getting a lecture. No, I don't want to get on the soapbox and tell you all the things. I want to share from what the science says and share from what I've learned the hard way myself so that you can get through that faster, so that you can have less drain and more personal power in how you approach your life, your leadership, your learning in your journey of life. So let's go. Step 2, this concept 2. This one is the generosity one. It's really self-betrayal, but it's disguised as generosity. I don't know if you've ever heard of a researcher named Dr. Gabor Mate. Fabulous human being. He has this deep, low voice, and you know he's been through it. You know he's studied it. You know he's completely fulfilled and giving that to other people. So when he says that there's a distinction between high achievers who are giving genuine generosity versus compulsive giving. And the distinction is that genuine generosity comes from a full cup. It comes from fullness. Whereas compulsive giving comes from a story that basically we're telling ourselves that who we have to be and what we have to do in order to be worthy to other people. So make that distinction. Are you genuinely generous with other human beings because it's coming from you being full? Your heart is full. Your energy is full. You are giving to give to other people from your fullness. Or are you giving compulsively because you're looking to do that to feel worthy? That distinction is so powerful. That's why I repeated it twice. So you could really chew on it. You could really consider whether or not that's happening in your life. Now, chances are both are happening. Chances are both have happened in your life. That's the case for me, where it becomes this equation of I'm the person who delivers. I'm the person who shows up. I'm the person who doesn't let people down. And it becomes this identity. But then, like the first concept, the competence trap, it becomes a slow leak where because that identity says, I'm not going to let anybody down, I'm going to show up no matter what. I've said that many a time. I'm going to be there no matter what. Identity is very powerful, and it will dictate what happens next, how you show up, what you do in day-to-day life, because everything you do wants to align with that identity of who you believe you are. So now look at how this can, in generosity, can start to chip away at you where you're empty and you're still showing up. You're empty and you're still giving. You're empty and you're still trying to find a way to fulfill on someone else's request. It doesn't work because it's a finite resource, your own energy, your own attention, your own ability to give. The only way it becomes infinite is if you keep fulfilling for you. You keep filling your own cup. So this identity is powerful, but it's also a trap, like the competence trap. Because when saying no feels like a personality crisis, then declining a request feels like betraying who you are, your own identity. You're not being generous, you're actually being self-abandoning. That's where the compulsive giving turns into self-abandonment. It's not that you're a generous person. You're not doing something good for them or you. When you generously give, you want it to feel great for them and great for you. But when you're empty, it can't. It can't. Generosity is a win-win and then often another win. It's a win for them, it's a win for you, and often that combination creates some other intangible win or concrete win, and there's a third win. But when you're generous from emptiness, there is no second or third win. You are abandoning and depleting yourself. There's another bit of research that I love. Kristen Neff, if you have the chance of ever reading her work, it's on self-compassion, and she's fabulous on teaching the work that really helps us perform better via self-compassion. And her work on self-compassion shows that people with low self-compassion scores, when they've measured this, are significantly more likely to overcommit, under-rest, and chronically deprioritize their own goals. Not from laziness, but from this internalized belief that their needs are less legitimate than others. Go figure. So if you're scoring low on self-compassion, which I certainly have, then you're constantly going through the world believing that someone else's priority is more important than yours. And it's simply not. It's simply not. Yours is just as important. You are no more important than anyone else, and no one else is more important than you. Consider that. So here's the truth bomb. Every yes to someone else's priority without corresponding protection of your own ends up being this small act of betrayal. And you add up enough small acts of betrayal and it chips away at you. It betrays your own self-trust, and you stop trusting yourself entirely. And that ends up being a problem. So here's how you can reframe this. Boundaries are not walls. They are architecture of creating a sustainable life. And boundaries sometimes simply mean saying no. That can be a boundary. No, I just can't do this right now. That's my boundary for this particular request. It's not going to happen. And I've had to learn that and had to practice that so much over the last few years between Graves' disease and this other incredible accident that has left me very, very injured. So with Graves, the thing that I had to do with my clients, and I wish everybody in business has had to do this for some reason or another, but I was told I couldn't work and I shouldn't work and I had to be off of everything, including work, for 6 months. And I had to wrestle with that. My heart, my soul, my mind, my body couldn't do anything. And so I looked at this and I thought, well, but this is who I am. This is my worth. My worth comes from serving other people. And I had to let go of that and make a conscious decision. What would it look like to keep on some clients and serve myself and my own healing? What does that look like? And can I keep on any clients and still serve myself and serve my own healing? And the answer came to me so clearly. And it meant not renewing certain contracts with clients. It meant letting go of a client and not having any of my worth tied into who I was working with, who I was helping, how many people I was helping, how many clients I had, how much money I was bringing in. None of my worth was tied to that. My worth was my worth was my worth. And the only reason I kept on some clients is because it helped me serve myself, because I knew that I couldn't give to them unless I filled my own cup. So it was this feedback loop that helped me, that I can't work with these people that are favorite people to work with and favorite people to serve and favorite causes to be supportive of, I can't work with those people unless I fill myself, unless I heal myself. And so that's how it got pared down to only working with a small handful of clients so that I could serve them effectively because I was serving and filling my own cup. And it meant a lot of prioritization to do so. So that is concept number 2, this generosity, but it's self-betrayal with compulsive giving instead of genuine generosity. All right. So the concept number 3, the next one, is the priority audit. And this one I think is so critical. The way I do this with clients is very specific. What I do is what's called a time audit. And clients hate doing this. I hate doing it. But when I've done it, it always reveals something so powerful. The time audit is where someone sits down and for every minute of the day, usually we go in 15-minute blocks, what are you doing with your time from the time you wake up all the way until you go to bed? And if some days are different than others, you look at the days that are different than others. So if it's a weekend, if it's a Tuesday, if the Tuesdays are different than Mondays, go through and look at the entire time on it. And then you add things up. How much time are you spending sleeping? How much time are you spending on work that progresses your work or is aligned with the goal that you're trying to achieve? How much time are you spending doing things for yourself or with your family or having meals or free time or exercise? How much time are you spending doing those things? And it is profoundly enlightening. It is profoundly shocking to see where your time is going and how much time is being spent doing certain things. Things like TV or just plain not working, where you don't have any real explanation for where your time is going, but you're not working or you're not spending it with family or you're not doing something like sleeping or exercising. So what's happening in that time is not making a meal. What is happening? And you realize that it's so easy then to give yourself 30 minutes of meditation, or so easy to give yourself an hour of exercise every couple days. Because it's there, we just convince ourselves that it's not. And when we look at the black and white math, we realize it actually is. So in this layer, in this concept, it's a priority audit when we do a time audit. The calendar, when you look at your own calendar, it's like a confessional. You're looking at this confession of, this is what I've scheduled, but what did I actually do? This is what's sitting on my calendar, but what was in those gaps? And did I follow through with what I committed to on the calendar? So there's a teaching from a person called Greg McKeown, and it's essentialism. And essentialism makes one of the most confronting. Yeah. Oh, okay. I had to sneeze. I've got broken ribs, so I'll probably leave this in the podcast instead of edit it out. Okay, essentialism. Whew. Essentialism makes one of the most confronting observations in modern productivity literature, and it's that if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will, and they will do it gladly. Because when I tell clients to automate, eliminate, or delegate, well, someone's always delegating, and they might be delegating it to you. You might be delegating it to someone else, but somebody's delegating something to you. It might be your kids, might be your friends, might be your boss, might be your partner, whatever it is, but you've got lots that's delegated onto you. So if you don't take control of your own calendar and put in what is important to you, somebody's going to delegate something onto you. And I've dealt with this with myself. I've created a system around it called a scheduling. It's an entire scheduling system called a Power Hour. And if you don't do this, you're going to find that months go by and it's been everyone else's priorities. Weeks go by and you don't know what you really did for yourself. So you have to take this control back of your own calendar, your own time. Your calendar is not just an organizational tool. It's a document. It's a values evidence document. That's what a calendar is. It's a values evidence document. If I look at someone's calendar and they've accurately put in there what they tend to do day in and day out at what times, it's going to be all the evidence I need to see about what they value in their life, what their priorities are. And it's not pretty for some people because they say they're valuing family or peace or legacy or something like that. And then their calendar shows something completely different. So it shows with brutal honesty what you actually believe. And not what you say matters, but what you're actually doing day in and day out that matters. Here's another bit of research, and this is from the Journal of Applied Psychology. And what they found was that individuals who engaged in weekly intentional scheduling, specifically aligning time blocks to the self-identified top priorities. This is my top priority. This is my time block that works on that top priority for me. And they've done this intentionally, and they've done it weekly. So people who have done that, get this, in this intentional scheduling, this reported 40% higher goal completion rates and significantly lower stress than those who manage their time reactively. I work with so many people who are reacting and reacting and reacting because they're in high pressure environments, their businesses, the role that they're in. So there's going to be naturally some reactive time, but unless they intentionally sit down to schedule for their aligned priorities, then guess what? They're not going to get where they want to go. The goals aren't going to happen. So this reduces the stress when they do this, increases the likelihood for goal completion, and that is a powerful thing for not only your own fulfillment, but for really experiencing the life you want to experience. It's your intention. It's your priority. Reactive scheduling is the default mode of the capable person. Capable people will fit it in. Capable people will find a way, no matter what, get it done. But this reactive scheduling is what the capable person does who hasn't protected their own priorities. If you haven't protected your own priorities, then you're constantly in a reactive mode. And sooner or later, you're going to look at your calendar and realize that you haven't done things to nourish and support yourself. So the most important work gets pushed back, pushed to a future that never quite arrives. So here's 3 questions that I'd like you to do this week. Number 1 is, what are the 3 things that only I can do that move my goals forward this week? What are those 3 things that only I can do that move my goals forward this week? Now, if you've worked with me before and done my blueprint, my annual empowered blueprint, then what we use is a methodology that I've created called triple threat planning. And it works in 3s. Only 1 to 3 goals, 3 milestones, 3 key actions for that milestone, and then we chunk out in the 3 actions that support those actions and milestones. The 3 things this week that are going to move your priorities forward seems like a simple question, but when you actually go to do it, it's shockingly difficult when you're used to accommodating other people's priorities. So I challenge you to do that. What are the 3 things only I can do this week that move my goals forward? The second thing that I'd like you to do is, are those 3 things blocked on my calendar, or are they just a list? This is one of the most critical steps in the Power Hour that I teach my clients, and it's that you're not working off of a list, this running list that's going day in and day out and crossing things off and adding things to it. That's not how you create a fulfilling life. You block in the time to spend on the most important things for that list into your calendar, and then you obey it. So the question becomes, are those 3 things that are really important this week, are they time blocked in my calendar, or did I just write them on a list? Okay, so make sure you're going to do the time block in the calendar. And the third thing is, what am I currently doing that I could eliminate, automate, or delegate? Some people say defer on this. I like to keep defer out of the picture, because the more we defer, if it's been deferred 3 to 5 times, it needs to get off the list because it's not important enough if you're not making the time for it. So I don't even like to put defer on there. I put automate, eliminate, or delegate so that there's more happening. And if it is a defer, that's going to be a very limited amount that happens. And what could I do with these things without real consequence? If I'm going to automate, delegate, or eliminate, and there's no real consequence in doing that, then do it now, as fast as possible. Those are going to be the things that make the real difference. So what I want you to do, I'm going to replay this just a little bit so you get these 3 concepts because they're so important. Number 1 is the helper trap, this competence trap. Make sure that you're not stuck in being so capable that everybody always interrupts you, comes to you, does all the things. And number 2, this generosity. Are you compulsively giving, or are you actually doing so from genuine generosity? If you're compulsively giving, realize that that's from an empty cup. You're going to have to fulfill yourself to make this something that's real, genuine generosity. And number 3, your calendar. Your priorities are going to be living in your calendar. Make sure that that reflects your priorities that really matter to you. Okay, so lastly, I just want to say that when you block the things for you, that happens first. You're going to block the things for you before you block anything for other people. Protect these like paid appointments. Protect this like you matter. Because the most important person you're ever going to serve is going to be serving yourself. Not because you're any more or less important than other people, because you're just as important than other people. And in order for you to serve other people, you're going to have to be able to continue on. And if you can't do anything for anyone else. And lastly, it's not that I don't prioritize with other people because I'm weak or disorganized. I do it because I'm good at certain things and I love to help. And because being needed by other people feels important. And I imagine that's the same for you. And sometimes our identities get tangled into our own worth. And we need to separate that out and realize that I am who I am because that's who I choose I want to be. And I'm not serving someone else to feel important. I'm serving someone else because I can and I want to and I have a full cup. And reflecting this in your calendar and your schedule and then following it is one of the easiest ways that you can show up for you, that you can be prioritizing with what really matters in your life instead of everyone else's priorities. All right. I want to leave you with this. The reason that I bring a topic like this is simply because I see it so much in my clients and I've experienced it myself and been burned the hard way. And I know that there are ways and I've learned ways, and that's why I share them on to you so that you don't have as much of the challenge or the suffering or the struggle of figuring it out the hard way. And sometimes we just need to hear this information more frequently because our natural survival brain wants to keep doing the things it's always done. And it takes a little bit extra to train our brains to go, hey, there's a different way to do this that's going to serve you and others better. So if this has, then share it on with someone else. And I hope you subscribe to this podcast because I'm going to keep showing up with great guests, research-backed great content that either I've experienced or researched or dug up the research for you so that you can go and live your absolute best life. Why? Because it's exactly my tagline. Be your best so you can live and give your best. Go do that. Have a great day, everyone.